everyone, my name is Renee from the H.E.R show. Today we're going to talk about the challenges SMEs face. Now there are a lot of challenges. Today I'm just going to cover a few. Now the first would be about competition. Like many people or companies would complain there are lots of competitors doing this exact same thing as them. Now think about your niche, if that is the case. What is your niche? What is your strength? Now everyone can be doing a food business, everyone can be doing a professional service business, but what makes you different from others? How do you differentiate yourself from others? What is your USP, which is your unique value proposition or unique selling proposition, right? So if you know what your USP is, it will be very easy for you to convey this message to your customers. And if this is aligned with your customers' goals, then you most probably get the sale. That's number one. And number two is, if you think that the exact company, same service provider is like a competitor, do analyze closely, because they may have the strength that you don't, or the other way around. Is there a way to work with your so-called competitor as a partner? Think bigger, think broader, right? Can both of you work together, hand in hand, and be able to capture a bigger market together? Perhaps you should think that way rather than thinking about, just people being competitors. So the number two factor that most SMEs face, a challenge, would be cash flow problems. I think that's really common because in a recent poll by the SME Development Survey by DP Info, there are about 35% of the SMEs, they would say that they have finance issues. And a Spring Singapore poll stated that about 65%, 64 to 65% face delays in payment because, companies pay them later and therefore they are unable to cover for their expenses. So what can you do? Now, some of the signs for you to take note of as an SME is your cash outflow cannot exceed your inflow way too much. Your outflow, meaning your expenses, your inflow would be your revenue, the money that you collect, right? And if during the period in which the client has not paid, are you able to sustain the business? If not, then there are several alternatives. I know there would be SME business loans from the banks, but if that is not an alternative, there are also other alternative financing options that you can think of that could help you tide the wave during those periods. Okay, so have your timeline, schedule it, and make sure you have enough funds to tide over if you have not received payment from your client. Now, the third thing would be the lack of technology and resources. Now, whether the company has funds or not, most of the time, the traditional businesses, they have been running for many years. Of course, they would have revenue, but what do they spend on is the next question. Do they spend on things that are most important, or do they spend on things that are, unnecessary? Now, things have changed. People are adopting technology and innovation to drive their business. Now, technology is supposed to help you increase productivity as well, but do not use technology for the sake of using technology because everyone is doing so. Always have an end in mind. What do you hope to achieve? Is it really about productivity of your employees and therefore they could do something even more strategic and not menial work, and you leave it to the robots, you leave it to the machines to do it? So think about that, okay? Spend your money or resources at the right places, but with an end in mind and your goals that you hope to achieve, okay? So if you'd like to find out a little bit more in depth and learn from successful business owners, do join us at our upcoming H.E.R Asia Summit in 2019, and that will be our third annual session. Find out more on our website at www.herentrepreneur.com.